furniture, and the selection that you can get from a company like Wayfair is absolutely phenomenal. Although I will say a company like Target might have an edge over some of these online companies for people who are wanting to try before they buy. Target also has a big opportunity in that people can try on clothing much easier at Target than they can try on at Amazon. It's kind of a hassle to selling for massive multipliers. Those are like your Zoom, your Wayfair, potentially even your DocuSign, okay? Now, then you also have long-term trends that are going to change. I don't think the Simon Property Group, as much as I invest in them right now as a recovery stock, I don't think they're ever going to fully recover. I also don't think that the airlines are going to ever fully recover. Recovery stocks, the stay-at-home stocks, the Activision Blizzard, the Wayfair, the Etsy, the Netflix, the Zoom, only to finally come around to the other side and put some money, aka weights in this example, onto stocks like the airlines, the mall REITs, the hotels, and Vegas stocks. Etsy is a relatively affordable stock next to the insanely priced Shopify and Wayfair. Etsy has seen tremendous gains during the lockdown as small businesses across the country are shut down or struggling. Etsy, well, has been the outlet for those small businesses who are struggling. Etsy doesn't rely on the heavy furniture shipping industry, and it's easy for small businesses to get a start than Tesla, but it's a much lower valuation than Shopify or Wayfair. So I haven't been adding incredibly heavily to Etsy, but Etsy is a good portion of my portfolio, although if I were It's a lot smaller. PayPal, Lemonade, Wayfair, Blizzard, AMD, Chipotle, Disney. Anyway, you get the idea. And the cool thing about this is it really allows me to have a lot more diversity. And you see just in the last quarter, it's up about 7%. Obviously, no guarantee of what it's going to do in the future.
At 10% before February 1st. Wayfair, wouldn't surprise me to see them explode even more, and they've already exploded. But when you talk about holidays and decorating, I could see that one take off. And then
because people aren't necessarily selling Zoom or Wayfair or Peloton because these are somehow bad companies. Although Peloton's a little overvalued, they're selling these companies to free up cash to go buy recovery stocks.
The rally this year, shares down 6%. Next up, Wayfair getting an upgrade today to neutral over at D.A. Davidson with a 280 price target. The analyst saying the stock looks attractive at current levels given a recent sell-off, and he adds that the firm has confidence that there will be another round of stimulus that could give a bump to Wayfair sales. Wayfair shares up 1.4%. Finally, Beyond Meat plunging today on worse than expected third quarter sales. Piper Sandler upgrading the stock to overweight from neutral while lowering the price target to 144. The analyst citing opportunity in the long-awaited McDonald's launch of
50% that some of these analysts are coming in. So definitely a mixed bag with Wayfair. And if you're interested in starting a position in Wayfair, when you get this many different readings, I think you just have to dig a little bit deeper and make sure you feel good about the company's future of obtaining that 30% sales growth, because you can see on these analysts that they're probably split on if they believe that story or not.
Task force. We've got Zillow, Wayfair, Etsy kind of leading the run on some of these that we track. I don't track all the stocks out there, but these are some of the favorites that I track. So we'll be on standby here for these events to begin, and then we'll cover them as they happen, and we'll hop back and forth.
Home decor, things like that. Very similar to a Wayfair story, where you see people sitting around, during the pandemic and investing in new decorations and furniture for their home. But you have had a sag here over the last, call it 3 or 4 months. It was difficult
Within this company, and I love it. But for right now, let's talk about Wayfair a bit. So Wayfair is different. It sells a ton of household furnishings. Wayfair is currently expected to grow its revenues by 18% easily over the next 3 years, every single year. And Wall Street thinks that their revenue in total is going to explode. A lot of revenue coming in. Now, Wayfair, though, it's pretty different from Etsy. See, Wayfair takes responsibility for warehousing and shipping items, plus dealing with returns. So, big difference in the model, right? Bad as well, okay? So, here's the thing. This is Wayfair compared to Williams-Sonoma. So, Williams-Sonoma, you can see their margin right here. So, their profit margin, right? Williams-Sonoma blows Wayfair out of the water. 90% of the stuff at Williams-Sonoma is private labeled. Remember over here, we're just we're right around 74-ish%, something like this, private labeled. And they're trying to get this up because that helps them grow margin, the Williams-Sonoma sales. So really, what you're doing with Wayfair is you're saying, hey, I don't mind that your margin sucks, and I don't mind that y'all spending money like cray. I want to be part of that growth. And in the future, they'll figure out the margin. Every sort of order, or an average order at Wayfair. So the average order at Wayfair is about $242. The costs of goods sold, COGS, are about $185. So this leaves them with a profit of around $57. But this is where the fun kind of stops pretty fast. So over here, with $57 of profit, these folks are spending not a smaller sort of sliver of the company. Maybe. But if you're an investor in Wayfair, you got to pay attention not just to their advertising, but to their employee costs, because employees are very expensive. Go ahead and realistically, for our next earnings report for Wayfair, we want to see this percentage of their staff and advertising costs start showing us a consistent downtrend. To me, that's going to be validation that Wayfair, okay, we can now start buying it a little bit more heavily. Etsy and Wayfair. And I know Shopify.com is not exactly the perfect comparison here, but we're going to include them anyway. So with Shopify, you've actually got a decline here, and this is based on the last year. Etsy, Wayfair, Amazon. Let's look at the time on website. Look at this. Etsy, Wayfair, Amazon. Look at that. Etsy. Hey, tech. Probably going to get spanked. Apple, Amazon, Etsy, Peloton, Wayfair, all of these typical retail stocks, and not to make in my opinion, but golly, look at companies like Wayfair and Etsy that have a fraction of the market cap of Amazon, yet the attention that is growing on these platforms is out of this world. We're going to have earnings, obviously, from the Amazons, the Wayfairs, the Etsys, and Redfins, and some of our other favorites. As a result, buy it. Here it is. It's at $220. Etsy, Wayfair, Pinterest. You got to own these companies. These are companies you have to own. I also bought some Pinterest call options today. Not as much. I think I put 39K into those. Let me see what. You know, at 277, you're not paying a terrible premium. It's down 5% today. You're not. It's down a little bit more after hours. You're not paying a substantial premium to get this thing. I'm not opposed to picking up Wayfair. We got. Let's see where we sit on the day's calendar. We're at about 275. Not recent lows, but we're kind of at that support level, 275, you know, the support level that we had back in September. A little bit of volatility in between there. You know, hasn't been a... All right. Wow. Blink down 2. Energy selling off. Wayfair and Enphase. Oh, why is the whole energy sector selling off? Move. That's really good. Wayfair is another one of my favorites. It's not as much of a golden child as Etsy for me, but that's a big move at Wayfair, and that's sending good signals here for what could happen with Etsy, because I believe Etsy reports after hours today. I'm with you. Yeah. We are seeing Carvana trend down here. We're seeing Wayfair's trended up, but Etsy's falling. Etsy's just giving up its lead right here pretty hard. Rocket's rebounding. Rocket just hit a bottom at 22 and is rebounding. That either later today or tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Look at Wayfair, though. Wayfair traces Etsy. Oh my gosh, here's another alert I sent out to when this stock was at like 280, which was not that long ago. Actually, it was literally this morning. I didn't send the alert this morning, but when it's been at 280, I've regularly company as well. I do prefer Etsy to Wayfair, but Wayfair is another one of those big winners. And the fact that it's up 18% today, that is a beautiful chart. Just a beautiful holder. You got to hold it. Wow, look at this. Last week, I mentioned you got to pay attention to Go EV. Go EV is one of those stocks that always rubber bands back to 50 a little bit after its big gains. Some losses here. Everything else pretty flat right now in the after hours. Let's take a peek at how NIO ended and Tesla. Let's see. We've got NIO flat at $39. What is happening? Oh my gosh. Etsy's kind of selling off, but you've really got travel. I mean, it's almost clear as day where the money is going, right? It's like sell, buy. Personally, though, I don't want to chase that. I want to keep shopping over here. Trying to push again. Wow, Wayfair. Look at that climb on Wayfair today. Very, very, very nice. Up 7.6%, trading at $319. When Wayfair is under $300, that's when you add to Wayfair. And we've been sitting under 300 for a while. Till rate moving again. A little bit. DocuSign still got that 2% down. Wayfair there, 1.5%. Wayfair's still at those higher prices. Funko makes the Pop collectible toys. They look like cute bobbleheads. No way! Oh my gosh, I had an addiction to those. When I was, I would say 13? 4%, yeah. Like Etsy. Let's see. I bet you Wayfair might be the higher one. Okay. Oh no, Etsy's 4.9. And what's Wayfair? Yeah, Wayfair's at 16%. Yep, that makes a whole lot more sense. Blank. Okay, all right, no more. I'm done. The Bloomberg Terminal. And let's see what we've got, first of all, in bonds, and then we'll take a peek at news. In airlines, Disney down and NIO relatively flat. Something else. Let's see, is there news on Upstart or why? I mean, beyond what happened yesterday, 69 in one day. So the high was actually 31 points higher than where we sit right now. Wow. Still really, really strong. We got searches for Wayfair, not as strong as we saw. Searches for storage are relatively up, although I didn't do self-storage here, so that might be a little bit of a misleading search. Do-it-yourself trending down. Sell home at all-time highs over the last really 5 years here. We're peaking. Gevo, Peloton, Wayfair, Open Door, Enphase. Lots of red actually coming through here.
On home improvement. So Home Depot, Restoration Hardware, Wayfair, that was a part of it that was a bit surprising to us. With Cartify, we also have the ability to poll consumers through real-time surveys. And it's through that we saw that consumers also wanting to put their money into the market.
Trying to figure out where to park those ships. Wayfair Express is down 4.8%, giving up its day's gains basically in the after hours. So you can see here we've got EXPI, Wayfair, Peloton, Square. Square's a little bit higher right now, so not ideal. But with M1 Finance, M1 Finance, you don't have all of the luxury of just kind of manually choosing things. You can, but I kind of just put it into my pies and let it do a little bit of a rebound. Nicely into the afters there. CRISPR, Wayfair, American Express. Okay, cool. Up over the 210s. Wayfair. Well, here's Win. Where's Wayfair? Can we get Wayfair in here? eBay before earnings up 1.5. We drew our line at 317.
On Shopify and Wayfair, those last two down about 5%. Pretty interesting there. Got to check out the travel space where we're also seeing a lot of.
We've got, what else we have here? Wayfair coming back a little bit. Oh, wow. Wayfair is actually almost at 275. Yesterday, well, it must have been a little under 275 yesterday. Let me take a peek here. So, yeah. Yesterday, Wayfair by the close got to about 272. It's incredible. Let's take a look at this Chamath-backed Equinox. I don't know. And they're talking about ARK as well. Let's listen to this.
She goes, but remember, she regards them as cash equivalents. I would say she's unique.
But Wayfair, Wayfair bounced. So Wayfair had a nice bounce of about 7% here. But otherwise, lots of red again. Maybe I still got about those, actually probably 2 to 3 pages of green. But the green's not super green. Oh, well, Tesla just bounced. So about 1%. Tesla about 0.9. You've got Wayfair's up 9%. This is one of those where I like it under 275. We had a couple days under 275, doing a nice big bounce back here. It's gains on the day here. Piton with NGA now LEV up almost the full 10, also at 9.89. We got Wayfair up 684. We got Etsy's up of almost a full 5% here. Wayfair's not bad. Like Wayfair's kind of guys down about 3.75 to 4.25. Wayfair, Neo, Palantir, these guys all experiencing some pain. All right, let's listen.
Started to buy more stuff. What can I tell you?
Man, stock jokes. Let's see. So we got Wayfair's down 7.96%. We got Ethereum down about 300, down to 4,000. We did hit that 39. We're kind of bouncing off these lows right now in the day here. So what else do we have? Buy opportunities. Another one is Wayfair. So Wayfair's back under 300. This thing fell to about 265 about 2 weeks ago. And I mentioned that I thought it was really cheap and nice that it was under 275, which is where I like to buy it. But then before I got around to buying it, it ran right back to like 320. Now it's under 3 again. It's to go here. Facebook down 0.75%. eBay down about the same. Wayfair. And trying to claw its way up here with 3% on Square. Wayfair 315. We got Ethereum at 4.6 to the downside on the 24 hours here. Looking at the 5-minute chart, we have not shared the rally here with cryptocurrencies on some of these. Those are sitting in the middle today. Yeah. Lemonade, Twitter, Salesforce, Wayfair, Costco. It's not very much of a red day, though. So, I mean, I'll take that any day.
Stimulus checks. Republicans argue
when it goes under 300. Look at it sit on our line. Wayfair does consistently, when it breaks under this line, it pretty regularly goes under 300. So I generally wait for those 300 opportunities to add to it. Wayfair 328. No way. That thing moved off Restoration Hardware. That's nuts. Charge point. Man, these things got expensive again. What happened? Here, about 0.5% here with eBay, Walgreens. How did Wish do today? Let's see how Wish ended up. 1% off Tech Day. Tesla down about 1/4. Yeah, down about 1/4 here. Okay, let's look at risers again. Yeah, I mean, these are some good sells. Whoa, Wayfair. Oh, Wayfair 298. Hold on, let me see something really quick about Wayfair. One sec. You know what? Here, let's listen to CNBC for a sec. I just want to pull this research up really quick on Wayfair.
Have 35 minutes left of the session. Dow, S&P higher, Nasdaq, Russell lower. The Russell down 1.4%. Still had Cathie Wood on the record. We'll speak with the ARK Invest CEO about her latest stock moves, plus her thoughts on China's tech crackdown and a new personal investment in a fintech company that's jumped
on Wayfair really quick. Okay, so Wayfair. I actually don't see anything on Wayfair here. Oh, here we go. Okay, this was a week ago. Wayfair slide says Jefferies lowers Q2 sales estimates. Interesting. Okay. Traffic changes. Yeah, let's see if I can find that myself. Let's see if I see what they're seeing. Oops, if I could spell it right. Well, actually, I did spell it correctly, but apparently Apple thinks Wayfair is Mayfair. It's just annoying. A decline. Okay.
That's interesting, but Etsy's actually still going strong. Yeah, it's like that COVID flight to safety. Look at the volatility index, 26.88% now. It's incredible. Ubiquity's even up. It's still under 300 though. Wow. And we are going to thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, and I have also seen that Wayfair is way down. It's it really, I think what it is you've got a lot of online retail is just getting destroyed. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, but yeah, Wayfair, let's take a look at them. All of this started after Amazon reported, and then Pinterest got whacked again. They got whacked in Q1, slowly came back. Then they got whacked here on Q2 earnings. Online retail, I think just the expectations are just too high. So Wayfair, let's take a look at Wayfair. QQQ index fund, NASDAQ, find me. If you go to metkevin.com/basket, it's actually one of the ones that I have there. Yeah, this is, in my opinion, pretty low for Wayfair. Oh, Zillow, Beyond Meat, Yelp, Wayfair. See, that's interesting to me. Wayfair got so beat up, and they didn't even report yet. They report on Thursday. 0.52 on AMC. You've got GME. Oops, hello. GME. 12.85% on GME. And I don't know, let's throw in like a Clove and a Wayfair. Clove 19.7. It looks like a lot of shorts have been going down, except for Wayfair. Wayfair is getting nicely shortage. How's Workhorse doing? Dropping. Stay at home longer, right? Stay at home longer. Furniture, Wayfair, Restoration Hardware. Maybe Apple computers, right? But Wayfair, remember, Wayfair went down to the 230s. Was patient, bought some after being patient. How's Krispy Kreme been doing? Oh, right. It's been doing the usual IPO. It's been doing the IPO. Anyway. Okay, CTRM's down tiny little bit. At Wayfair, folks, I sent out an alert when Wayfair was like $230. I'm like, this thing always goes back over 300. And so I sold puts because I'm like, this is going to be an easy, free credit. In fact, I wonder if I should close that option right now. Let me see really quick. Okay, so I have 5 puts, 260 on Wayfair. Let's see. And those were sold puts. That's interesting.
To make their products even more attractive, such as Wayfair and Etsy.
So what kind of moats can these have? Well, depending on which side of the chart we were just on, it can be brand value, which it means that if you just have a product that is very high brand value, people will buy it. A lot of people talk.
Earnings scare me. These days, earnings are no fun. Wayfair is rotating down again. Wayfair does this thing where it's just constantly up to 300, down again. Up to 300, down again. It's pretty incredible. All right, let's see here.
Iconic sunglasses that many people wear even to this day. They unveiled a smart Wayfair glasses. So this has been tried by Google. And probably.
So here's Wayfair's earnings call. These long-lasting supply chain issues have also resulted in inflation. Yeah, no kidding. We see that in CPI report too. See, this actually predicted inflation right here, this earnings call here. This earnings call, by the way, is from August 5th. Or is this going to be a potential issue for Wayfair going forward? Where we have a view of cost pressures being more transient, we're being thoughtful as to how to reflect that to the end consumer. Okay, so they're starting to already be sensitive to like, oh, we're starting to see elasticity of demand shrink here. And so they can't pass it all along, which hurts profitability for a company like Wayfair. But and rubber bands back up to 300. I sold a put on Wayfair when it was like 230. It ran up to 300. I took lots of tendies on it. It was really nice. It's not a red market. A lot of green, but that red is growing with these spark lines continuing to rotate down. Poshmark, Wayfair, Neo. All right. Let's buy.
There's just not that much changing right now, with the exception. Yeah, there you go. Okay, S&P rotating down again a little bit. Had a nice little rally there. Saw Bitcoin sitting on the shelf. Moderna's getting smoked. Wayfair down to 245 on Wayfair. Inexpensive. Affirm's actually down 1.71% as well. So is Trade Desk, Hippo. You've got a lot of the higher valuation kind of tech names down a little bit here. You've even got Neo down 1% back to about 30. Okay. Wayfair. Wow, Wayfair's at 244. Wow, Wayfair really sold down. This is Ethereum. There's Wayfair. There we go. Here's Wayfair. Yeah, look at Wayfair. Kind of, it's really dancing along a bottom right now, if you think about it. I mean, look at this particular shelf. If you drew, this is a double touch right here. Here's a double touch. This is almost a rough triple is what I'll call this. Do their opening remarks. Yeah, look at that for Wayfair. In my opinion, that's not a bad entry. I wonder if we could sell some puts on Wayfair again. On Wayfair when it's at the bottom like that? Look at that one. Wayfair's down 1.7. Nvidia's down 1. Autodesk is down. Neo's down again. Neo was green. What happened?
In 2021 thus far. One mover to the downside, though, is Wayfair, of course, the online home furnishing retailer. It got downgraded at Morgan Stanley. The analyst putting a $195 price target on the stock. That's downside of about 17% from yesterday's close. This morning, it's down the better part of 3%, trading right around $228 a share, Francine.
And very nice gap up here on Ethereum. Pretty incredible. Wayfair just continuing to burn, though, unfortunately, sitting down 2.96% right now.
Because you saw the Affirm option on something like Target or StubHub or Wayfair or whatever. This means Affirm kind of gets free customers through the Buy Now, Pay Later portal, advertised by companies like even Amazon with their partnership coming soon.
So, wow, really, really good. Let's go ahead and see what we have for earnings coming up.
Now over Wayfair, who has their own internal system. So Wayfair touches the goods 6 times, and now with there being such delays, when you touch it 6 times, when you order something for Halloween, it's not cool. It shows up for Thanksgiving.
All right, so for this segment, we're going to compare Etsy to Chewy, Wayfair, and eBay. Obviously, Chewy and Wayfair are probably your closest comparisons because they're both new companies and they both kind of got that pandemic boost. eBay, obviously the better value. What you're going to see with eBay is, they have more EPS. They have less growth because they've gotten so big. If we go down to forward gap EPS, Etsy at 87, Chewy in the thousands, Wayfair doesn't even have a gap EPS, and eBay sits at about 30. Now, if we take a look at PEG ratio, price over earnings growth, this is non-GAAP, 291, nothing for Chewy, 12 times for Wayfair, under 2 for eBay. On a gap level, for whatever reason, only Etsy snuck in there. Wayfair at 19, and you can see eBay kind of stalls out. Then if we want to do 5-year, how about at 45% for Etsy, no calculation for Chewy, Wayfair at 35, eBay at 5% billion. Chewy's in the positive, that looks negative, but it's net debt, so negative is actually positive. And eBay sits at the top, obviously longer, more established company. So
University of Wisconsin Stout.
Yes!
I bought Wayfair a year ago, and I'm wondering if I should sell, hold, or add to my position.
I think that Wayfair is a good position going into the holiday and a bad one out. So why don't you take some off this week coming, and take a little bit off the next, and then you can see what happens. But it's not my favorite stock. As a matter of fact, my favorite stock in that area is Williams-Sonoma. And that, I think,
the top search retailer associated with doorbuster deals today online. Wayfair actually is second, and those shares are higher. Walmart is fourth, with doorbuster deal searches down 97% compared to last Black Friday for Walmart specifically. So those online-only players, as we mentioned, like Wayfair, Chewy, also bucking the trend, shares at more than 2%.
Off in some of the other stocks, Square, Wayfair, other ones that are at all-time lows. Watch my video that I made earlier about the peg ratios for 10 stocks, but look at them: Snap, EXPI, SoFi, Roku, Wayfair, Corsair, PayPal, Hood, Square, Disney, Trade Desk, other ones that were getting hurt: Airbnb, Matterport, Nvidia, Net, Lemonade, Palantir, Shift. These are pain ones. Down 2%, sitting at 39. Backed holdings sitting at 9. Wayfair right at 200. I wonder if Wayfair hit a bottom here. 10 cent, that was it. Thank you so much. So yeah, look at this. Even Wayfair hitting somewhat of a bottom at about 183, and a little bit in terms of closing price bottom, probably right around 193. If you take a peek here at the bell.
Once they get it, once the healthcare workers get it, they got to be back on their feet. So I hope that.
Look at Wayfair just get destroyed. Wayfair has a $20 billion market cap. And next to Restoration Hardware, it's just gotten whacked. Look at that. Surprised they're still so low. And Wayfair, honestly, Wayfair is probably worth a little bit of fundy looking at. So I'm going to write that one down in terms of fundies. Wayfair 139. Got a little spark line to the upside though on Wayfair here. Yeah, look at that. It's trying to move up on the day. Everything that was hot in COVID. The SPACs, the online retail. I mean, look at Wayfair. Wayfair's down more than 50% from all-time highs. It's insane. Let's see. Alibaba reported this morning. We have Square, Coin, Beyond Meat, Etsy, Open Door, Autodesk. These are going to be some big earnings actually coming up. So we'll watch those earnings in about an hour and 15 minutes when we have market close.
eBay, because it was completely free, especially when you just get started, before you start getting a bunch of items on your eBay store, right? And all I had to do is when I made a sale, literally my app would go like cha-ching, 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 and it would give me the money in PayPal as well as the copy and paste pictures from Walmart, from Amazon.com, from Overstock.com, from Wayfair.com onto eBay, right? Because when you first get started, it's free to just go up and test things, right? Of course, later on when you get more advanced, you're gonna have to get like anchor stores and whatnot to sell more products. But in the beginning, it's free to go ahead and get started, right? And when I did that, one thing, pictures from Walmart to eBay, Amazon to eBay, like Wayfair to eBay, right? All of these other websites to eBay, because guess what, right? There was virtually no risk. If I got a sale, I would take the money, right? So I would take the $361 and I would then go and buy it at Walmart as if I was a customer and ship it directly to them.
But Overstock's taking material market share, including from Wayfair. But the big news was when Intercontinental Exchange placed a long-term executive in T0, which is one.
The way I gauge these things is I look back to pre-pandemic levels. Wayfair is trading right around that level. I would be a buyer of Wayfair, use a $100 stop, just in case I'm wrong. You have a couple of things going against it. You have people looking for experiential things to do. Vacations, going out and going back to the mall. That could be an experience, right, Kelly? So that's where a Target or those traditional mall centers place in case you see the market fail for a high 40s price.
So you're a little iffy on Wayfair, more of a fan of Yeti. What about Teladoc, Steve? A major pandemic winner, but it's been a major struggler of late. Guggenheim initiated it with a buy rating today saying healthcare is moving digital. Would you follow them into that stock? For another 3 to 6 months. You have a sell rating on Wayfair, which got another big downgrade today. A similar kind of housing halo effect story. You do have a buy rating on Costco, if I'm not mistaken. You're more than 60% off its highs. Huge exposure to higher rates and the housing market, obviously. Would these still be candidates for shorts? And I know that's what you're saying, that they are. But after the moves that we've already seen, there's probably looking for the value play here. Why don't you think we're there yet for Wayfair?
I just don't think we're there primarily because of the technical pattern. I mean, yes, you are going to start seeing buyers come in on some of these beaten down stocks at some point, but I'm just not seeing buyers. We're continuing in a downtrend. If you look at the way that investors have reacted to earnings, that the stock traded after an earnings report. If you look at Wayfair in general, you see last quarter it gapped down 16.9% on earnings. The quarter before that, 7% on earnings. That is showing that investors are not happy about what they have to say. And this company also losing money, and they haven't been doing well in the current inflationary. I do think that we can see lower prices in Wayfair, and I'm actually looking for a break of 100 and a trade down to about 90.
Does it mitigate your bearishness at all, the fact that Bed Bath has I think the last I checked, it might have been positive on the session, even when they had really terrible EPS results? Their comps, they were talking about being down 20%.
As far as the actual news is concerned and the possible good news in Wayfair, with any of these setups that are on my earnings destruction list, that definitely happens sometimes where the earnings report is actually a little more positive than I anticipate. But because of the overall downtrend and because
Netflix 36%, Roblox 12%, Shopify 10.5%, Wayfair 9.6%, Peloton, Enphase, all these companies down 7 to 10%. Then United Wholesale Mortgage also up about 7%. Wayfair, Autodesk, incredible. Trade Desk 6.5%. Affirm 6%. Look at this thing. This morning was at a low of 28.50. Absolutely incredible. So wild, just absolutely wild market. Could end up being right. Look and read that Etsy and Wayfair earnings report. A huge difference from Q1. Report I read said we have pricing power, we're increasing prices, we have multiple price increases scheduled, we are and the consumer's paying it. Now, what are you hearing from Wayfair and Etsy? Whoa there, big guy. Yeah, we're not going to raise prices just to drop them. You know what we're going to do is we're going to keep our prices stable. And these executives are trying to sell it as if that's a good thing. Like, oh, well, we're one of the few who has.
If you're serving them online, things are not looking so good. Wayfair, Etsy, eBay. But Crocs had really good demand. Even Pennsylvania Real Estate Trust, which of course owns a number of malls, they said traffic is up 10% year to date.
How about all the people you had to bring in to put together the Wayfair stuff? What are they doing?
I don't know.
Well, all I can tell you is that I'm so tired of reading bigger loss than the loss that was anticipated. Give me Eaton. Give me Illinois Toolworks, okay? Man. I want a tool company.
Wayfair has just been horrible.
Well, that's people don't.
And finally,
the old Restoration Hardware is still
eBay,
around,
which is not of this group, is certainly the best performer. They did lower their fiscal year 22 guidance, reduced their
they got hurt very badly.
Start with your take on Wayfair. This was sort of a darling for some time during the pandemic. The CEO is suggesting that, yes, consumers are still spending, but they're starting to make more discerning purchases as they've just got a lot of things tugging at their purse strings, including inflation. Is this temporary or is this a permanent downturn for a name like Wayfair?
Well, for Wayfair, they're really getting discerning, and they're deciding not to buy from Wayfair. This is going to be a tough time for Wayfair going forward. You pointed that they had a decrease in active users. The problem is that the expectation was that active users on Wayfair would increase, and now we've had 4 quarters in a row of decreases. They're also talking about the fact that energy costs are hurting. They're having a tough time with labor. And so Wayfair, which is down by about 2/3 from its recent high, is just really going to have a tough time. They're really in the crosshairs because nobody wants to go and buy a sofa right now. We've done all that. We want to get out of the house. We don't want to buy furniture right now. Wayfair is going to feel the pain.
Yeah, it's interesting. The CEO said consumer spending is still climbing for retail overall. Shoppers nonetheless devoting a larger share of their wallets to non-discretionary categories and reprioritizing experiences like travel, as we just discussed with Seema Modi. But let's...
Is the worst performer in the S&P. That's partly because Wayfair is not in the S&P. Wayfair is down even more. But I think Etsy has the best franchise. People like it, and it doesn't have the problem of big ticket purchases that Wayfair does. It certainly was a darling of the pandemic. It went from 32 to 300. It's back down to about 90 now. But the strategy makes a lot of sense. They did have a...
Selling off right now. Holy moly, look at that. 17% on Etsy. Let's go to Wayfair just to get the updated numbers. 16% now. Amazon now down 2.7%. And Shopify down 15%. Roughly the same as what we had during pre-market. This is a sign that the market is like, oh crap, we should have gotten out of e-commerce in January. All right, but just in the last 2 months, since a lot has transpired and rising prices across the retail universe and troubling geopolitical events, our mass customers in the U.S. and internationally appear understandably ain't shopping at Wayfair. It's a terrible thing. Let's see here. While rising energy prices are headwinds to shipping and fulfillment, some of the biggest pain from last year pains are dissipating. Okay, well that's actually a good thing. I like to hear the Etsy call. They're basically like Wayfair is literally telling us inflation is transitory, so we won't raise prices because we can't. This is terrible. Earnings again for companies like Under Armour, Etsy, Wayfair, and all three of those, bad, not good. Etsy and Wayfair, the worst, suggesting they don't even have pricing power anymore because people just aren't shopping as much anymore. That's a problem.
Healthcare laws. Can't say too much, though, because it's too small. Ninth, Wayfair, online furniture retailer, consummate pandemic play, struggling as the world goes back to normal. The most recent quarter was terrible. The stock has plunged from 258 to 52. Hideous. I honestly don't know what to do with this company other than sell it, because I can't figure out what could help them be turned around. Before the pandemic, Wayfair looked broken. I think it looks broken again. Number 10, I never liked Novavax. This has historically not been a successful vaccine developer, and I figured they'd have an also ran against COVID, even as they repeatedly told us they were at the head of the pack. Lots of people
are trading well. You mentioned Roku, Etsy, Wayfair, Sonos today is up almost 12. How do those things feel to you right now?
Sonos is a great example of a strong on a relative basis. So they're feeling the same challenges Apple is from a supply chain standpoint, but at a company-specific level, they initially added some...
That was most interesting to us because we have been hearing from Wayfair and others about tougher comparisons and just spending on home could potentially slow as we move off of peak pandemic demand, but that wasn't the case at Home Depot, so very encouraging there.
And looking at the reaction in Walmart shares today, Poonam, and the inflation reality.
Svexy, which is the volatility short, with some Wayfair. Retail buyers are buying Walmart on the dip. I don't know why you would buy Walmart on the dip. The only reason you would buy Walmart on the dip is if you didn't read the earnings call.
Walmart, I posted one about Target. Both of these companies decided to eat every bit of inflation in the most recent quarter. So while their sales increased marginally year over year, their profits slid off the
all the way down to, the furniture segment like Wayfair. We're seeing deceleration across e-commerce. So it's a tricky time. Our long book is
Monday.com, Fisker, Bed Bath & Beyond. Look at Wayfair in here as well. Wayfair's just been one of those that's been dropping like a total rock.
Peloton, Zillow, Teladoc, Ring Central. You got Wayfair, AMC, Carvana, Nikola. Oh, Nikola. By the way, Nikola, there have been some trucks spotted around Phoenix that are actually,
if you will, in that to hedge it in that way.
Fair enough. I'll work on it. Mihir Bhatia, thanks for illuminating the space for us.
Very hard time bouncing back. Same goes for Best Buy, Williams-Sonoma, and Wayfair, although the first two are excellent companies with very cheap stocks, but they need rate cuts, and those are on the horizon that I can see. Now we still have one more derivative, the internet itself. Several research firms have pointed out this week that internet use is actually down this year, something almost no
e-commerce names when they open in the States, such as Wayfair, Shopify, Etsy, Overstock.com. If that doesn't make you want to shop, I don't know what will.
Okay, Laura, thanks very much. Yeah, Kaylee and I are here for the planning. Laura Wright with the latest on what's going on with Amazon. Let's stick with the retail theme. Joining us now on retail is Diane.
Hey, you know what? Look at companies like Amazon right now and Shopify, Wayfair, Etsy. These companies have all bled out since the beginning of the year, but it almost feels like we're kind of hitting this plateau over here, this shelf, and this could be creating an opportunity to finally get back into these. In fact, some of these names are in the M1 Finance pie that we've assembled with course.
Really shifted yet. You see some weakness in some e-commerce companies like Wayfair and a little bit of Etsy, but fundamentally, this is a macro correction. Like if you look at Shop's market cap, which is roughly 25% of what it was a year ago, it's not because Shopify is missing its numbers per se. It's because you're dividing by a different interest rate and creating a total.
I would go to websites like Amazon.com, like Wayfair.com, like Walmart. I would copy and paste pictures from Walmart.
Are getting a bit of a bullish bid in July. Look at online home decor marketplace Wayfair, up 30%.
Yeah, his Wayfair was rallying on some excitement yesterday. Looking at the checking in here on the pre-market, up about almost 0.25%. So we'll see. Okay, let me go ahead and jump on over to CNBC and let's see what they have to say.
Do you think that makes sense?
Oh yeah, jobless claims came in this high. All right. Quickly, Wayfair. So Wayfair reported earnings this morning. They reported an adjusted loss per share of $1.94. The estimated loss, so the markets were expecting it to lose, was $1.87. You have Wayfair net revenue of $3.3 billion versus an estimate of $3.2. So they actually beat on revenue slightly, and but they did miss on the bottom line. However, it does also look like they saw a drop in active customers. I wonder if it says, though, like, oh, it comes from Wayfair or not. But it's interesting. I mean, obviously, it doesn't. Assembly required, specification. It's not going to tell you, is it? Here, I don't know what all these things are yet at Wayfair. Red carpet merchandising. It's another thing to look into. Anyway. All right. Fire. Anyway, Wayfair back down to 7% to the downside. eBay down 7%. Lucid down 11%. Skills down.
Late due to supply chain mishaps. You know, the stocks of RH and Wayfair were just crushed. Some pandemic stocks we knew would be in for a world of hurt as life went back to normal. We all knew, like, you know, Peloton, I mean, a genius, huh? Like DocuSign, Zoom. That's not what I'm talking about. See, nobody thought that suddenly ingrained consumer habits.
How much slack is there now? Here come the cuts. Kelly Lyons, Wayfair.
Yeah, 5% reduction of the global workforce affects about 870 employees. Did you see the survey out of PwC yesterday, John? They interviewed 700 executives. Half of them said they are planning to reduce headcount if they haven't already. Talk about a slowdown in the labor market.
Brutal survey, wasn't it? Pretty brutal.
And then we could actually get our earnings recession. Look at Wayfair. Look at Kohl's. Look at Target. They're struggling with the consumer.
This was probably maybe 4 minutes of searching across Google. Wayfair just announced that they're laying off 5% of their staff. Peloton's laying off over 4,000 workers. Shopify's laying off over 1,000. 7-Eleven is letting go almost 1,000 management positions. Tesla announced that they're laying off 10.
I would copy and paste pictures on Walmart, Amazon.com, Overstock.com, Wayfair.com, on eBay. And guess
their employees. Snapchat laying off 20% of employees. Wayfair laying off 870 employees, or 5% of its global workforce. Let me go through some of these others very quickly. Patreon is laying off 17% of their workforce. Groupon 15%. Daily Harvest 15%. iRobot 10%. Rent the Runway 24%. Carbon.
Your value, and it could certainly go lower. Let's go to another one. Wayfair. This was all the rage during COVID. People were redoing their houses. They were buying new furniture, doing little projects here and there. They are down 87% over the last year, 36% this month.
How about Whirlpool? They lose all that original equipment money. How can Wayfair do well if Leggett and Platt did poorly? It can't. It's almost impossible to imagine any of the plastic or chemical building plays. How about the paint companies doing well if the economy's slowing enough to make the Fed scale back its rate hikes? Oh, and the skittish tech owners can't take pain, and they bolt as always.
Grab pictures from Amazon.
Say it, but investment into home furniture via companies like Wayfair, probably not expecting an inflection point here anytime soon. Nope. Going to go bankrupt here, reducing its workforce by about 20%. Wayfair, 5%. Peloton, another 600 job cuts. Obviously tech, but even in financial services, Goldman Sachs down 1 to 5%.
I would say that's really starting to slow down. You can see Wayfair way over on the left, starting to see some significant declines in that.
Which is likely going to go to zero. Companies like Wayfair, companies in the furniture and real estate, we had none of that yet. We had very little stocks go to zero. Yes, we had maybe Voyager and many other names, but we're going to have much, much more of those stocks actually going to zero in 2023, in my opinion. Why?
The question is, I'm looking at Wayfair. Look
at Wayfair. It's too hard. We want bluer chips. We want better deals. We want more of a stock. Honestly, I'd rather see it by Williams-Sonoma. And by the way, this for Willie and everyone else, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, exclusive offer.
We find a lot of those electronic retailers. Look at this, down 89%. Wayfair, also seeing that in Shopify, down about 80%. And then Amazon, we already took a look at that. That's down 50% from its 52-week high, Brian.
Jerry, you know what a good time for me is? Buying plastic forks at Dollar General, sharing everything with our audience.